Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bad Luck Gamer, and I know my hair's a mess, but let's ignore that for now because right now I'm going to tell you why you should play Lancer the RPG. It's a really good mech based game for people who are not all about mech spreadsheets. Now, I have nothing against mech spreadsheets. Those are the kind of games, like Mech Fighter or Mech Warrior, that are designed for people who are really into the intricacies of mech combat. But Lancer is for the cool flair of mech combat that has the same amount of customizability, but in a much more accessible package. And it's not even that simple of a game. This is a very intense tactical game that puts you in so many situations with different combat environments, different enemy types, whether they're biological enemies or mechanical enemies, whether they're enemy pilots or AI. And talking about AI, the setting is super fascinating. As much of the world's setting is due to math that comes from unknown sources, some kind of eldritch event when a moon on Mars suddenly disappeared. Yeah, there's a bunch of eldritch AI out there that are doing some really wacky things in this strange and yet fascinating open sandbox style of space opera where you have a massive government structure of union. You have different sectors of space like the long rim, or you have different corporations that are constantly fighting for not only your personal like day-to-day life, whether it's like refrigerators, microwaves, all that kind of stuff, or gene splicing, to make life easier for you, but also for your Lancer pilots who are the best of the best augmented pilots who can operate the highest performing mechs in known human science to this point, have access to all kinds of crazy weapons, like shields, lasers, all kinds of things. And let's go ahead and start off with the coolest thing in Lancer, which is CompCon. It's a site you see here behind me. Through CompCon, you can easily access everything you need as a player through the game. All you need to do is go down to the content manager here and go to the LCP directory. And right here, you have access to all of the official Massive Press Lancer content. And many of these things that you can see here, you can actually access the player based information for free. So you can go to the sites, download the LCP link, and add them. But in addition to Massive Press official content, they actually support community based content that you can find here in this massive list. And a lot of this stuff is really cool. We'll probably be covering some of this on the content. So if you like a game that super supports third-party homebrewed content, then Lancer is probably going to be a game for you. So after you go ahead and get all your stuff needed to play, most of it for free, then you can go to your pilot roster and you can make your own pilot and have your own digital character sheet so you always have access to it. There is even a phone app that you can use to access this all the time. But this is not what we want to talk about. Right now, let's talk about the thing that you play the game for, which are the mechs. The mechs are an incredibly fun, insane, creative part of the game because each mech plays incredibly differently with their own stats, unique abilities. But this game is all about mixing and matching the best parts so you can play your unique play style. Now, every time you level up, you get a new license rank, and you can invest your license ranks into one rank of any of the mechs in the game. Every time you invest a new rank into a license, you get more things. You can see here under Blackbeard, you get the chain axe and synthetic muscle netting. And at rank 2, you actually get access to the Blackbeard frame and the Impakai. I can't remember the Impaki frame, plus 2 weapons: the nanocarbon sword and the bristlecone flechette launcher. And this is the part that I really like because it's so incredibly modular. You pick a mech frame, you load up its weapon mounts with whatever weapons you see fit, and each mech has a number of system points that you can use to add systems like synthetic muscle netting here. With synthetic muscle netting, essentially, it doesn't matter what size of mech you are, you can grapple and ram targets larger than you, meaning that your size 1 mech that is about 20 feet tall can wrestle mechs that are 60 feet tall. It's pretty cool. And the art in this game is fascinating. They have art for all the licensed mechs that you can access, and technically, your mech can look like whatever you want. It's personalized. Every mech is designed for the pilot specifically. But the art here, which is done by Orbital Dropkick, the author of Kill 6 Billion Demons, is incredible. You can see with the Blackbeard here, this mech is designed to mess you up. This is actually a really cool mech in the fact that it is a brawler mech that has a good amount of things, like it has armor, it has a massive amount of HP compared to some of the other mechs, and it's actually really fast. This is an incredibly fast mech. And in addition, as I mentioned before, each mech comes with a unique set of traits, like the grapple cables here, which allows the Blackbeard to grapple targets within 5 hexes of itself, which is incredibly cool. No other mech in the game has anything even similar to this. Even the alternate frame in this license does grappling, but does it in a different and specific way. And in addition, you can see here that the Blackbeard has 3 weapon mounts. Every mech has a set of 1 to 3 weapon mounts. Each particular specific mount can hold a certain type of weapon, and there are tons of different weapons for you to sink your teeth into. And before we talk about the weapons themselves, I also will mention that each mech frame comes with a core system. These core systems allow you to kind of put your mech into overdrive or use some unique effect that's incredibly powerful. Like the Blackbeard, for instance, has its Omni Harpoon, which grapples all targets within a range of 5 and line of sight. You just shoot all these wires out and pull all these enemies in so that you can myrtleize them using your massive and kind of like serrated chain weapons that the Blackbeard tends to want to use. Speaking on weapons, let's go ahead and look at some of the weapons that the Blackbeard has access here. So we have the chain axe. So you get a chainsaw axe that you can use. It does, so much damage. Each weapon also comes with a set of traits. For instance, this axe in particular has Reliable 2. What Reliable 2 does is even when you miss, this is such an insane weapon that it still deals damage to the target, a minimum of 2 damage, which is really good. And also with the Blackbeard, we have the Bristlecone Flechette Launcher. Now, this weapon does not necessarily have any unique tags, but this weapon does do something unique. First of all, it's a burst weapon, so it fires in a 1 hex burst around the Blackbeard, and it's an auxiliary weapon. So when you have like a flex mount or even like a main aux mount or something like that, you can potentially have like multiple auxiliary weapons. So this allows you to have essentially these mini launchers on your mech that cause you to explode, and you can fire up to 2 of these weapons at a time with some of the action system. And not only that, but this weapon has a unique feature that doesn't apply to any of the tags, where the weapon ignores range penalties for engage, which is something that if you're in melee, technically there is a penalty to shooting people with a ranged weapon, but this weapon ignores it because you're just exploding with shrapnel, essentially. And it deals 3 kinetic damage to grappled or biological targets. So while it normally does 1 damage to all enemies, if they're grappled, which the Blackbeard is really good at, they actually take 3 times the amount of normal damage. And last, I wanted to show you guys the Nanocarbon Sword, because this is a heavy weapon, which is a weapon that just requires a very specific mount, and it does a d6 plus 4 damage which is a lot of damage. It has a longer reach, so this weapon is a reach weapon, and it has reliable 3, which makes the chain axe look not so great, but you also have to remember that the chain axe can be used on multiple mounts, while the nanocarbon sword can only be used on one mount. So you can have multiple chain axes or one nanocarbon sword. And to really show you how crazy some of these weapons can get, I want to show you guys the Leviathan Heavy Assault Cannon from one of my favorite mechs, the Drake. And it is essentially a super heavy cannon. It's essentially a cannon chain gun that you can use, and see, it does a fair amount of damage, a d6 damage, and this one can be fired quickly for a super heavy cannon, which is really cool. But you can also spin it up, spinning the cylinder so that you go into an alternate fire mode that does 4d6 plus 4 damage. Now, it does have to take up your entire turn, and not only that, but this weapon not only has reliable 5, which is absolutely nuts, but heat 2, which means your mech gets hotter as you're using this, and if you're not careful, you can actually blow up your reactor if you're not managing your heat. So, yeah, that's how crazy some of the weapons can get, and it's mix and match. Even though this particular weapon is found on this chunky boy here, one of my favorite mechs in the game, you can actually put this on any mech that has access to a heavy frame and another frame, because super heavy weapons take up 2 weapon mounts. And let's just take a look at some of the insane looking mechs here in the game. You already saw the Blackbeard and the Drake, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other corporations and what mechs they have to offer. So here is a favorite mech of many. This is the Monarch. This is an artillery frame. It specializes in long-range missile fire. It's also a massive frame, being a size 2, being bigger than the Blackbeard. This is essentially a jet on legs. It shoots missiles. It has a rifle that you can see here, and it specializes completely in long-range artillery fire. And also here with Smith Shimano, we have the Morning Cloak, which is this boreal dancer in the Boreal Valley style Dark Souls-esque character. It's a teleporting mech. It's a hunter mech that specializes in targeting enemies that are separated from their allies, and it is an incredibly fearful and dangerous mech to have targeting you at any one time. Or maybe you want to go with the crazy and fantastical Horus mechs that have all kinds of legendary mythical creatures as inspiration for their mechs, like the Baylor here, or probably more similar to the Balrog. And it is a mech made of nanites. It is a living nanite swarm. This mech even has regenerative features, allowing it to restore up to half of its total HP around, given the right circumstances. It also has a crazy whip that it can use to throw enemies around. It is also a defender mech. Its whole job is to block enemies off and to make sure that they're only focusing on the Baylor. Or maybe you want to castigate the enemies of the Godhead with the Manticore. This suicidal frame is an energy-based frame that focuses on zapping enemies with electricity anytime it takes any kind of heat. And it's like some of its main features are exploding. When it goes to 0 hit points, it just explodes massively, taking out everything with it, including the pilot, because, you know, that's a thing you can do in the game. And there's energy weapons, there's flamer weapons, there's all kinds of really cool things. Each of these mechs here, and we're going to go over a couple more because we still have some Harrison Armory mechs to talk about, offers so much that you can add to your character and to your mechs. Maybe you're interested in Harrison Armory's, high Geneva Convention breaking, hyper militaristic weapons. We have here the Barbarossa, the largest mech currently in the game. It's a size 3. This thing is like 60 feet tall. It's a literal moving skyscraper. And in fact, it is so big, they actually put a Starship's railgun on its shoulder mount for use in combat. This particular railgun atomizes things as it hits them with such destructive force. The Barbarossa is a long-range artillery mech, something that we kind of saw with the Monarch, but it focuses on one massive cannon that takes a little bit of time to charge up. But hey, he doesn't miss. And if we're talking Harrison Armory, we have to talk about the World Killer Genghis mech. This is actually a variant of another mech they have in the game, and this is just a war crime on legs. This is a mech completely focused on using giant flamethrowers to melt enemies as quickly as possible. This game is all about customization, and even with this particular mech frame, we have something like the explosive vents. These explosive vents allow you to, using your system points that each mech has access to, you can clear all your character's current heat, causing an explosion of steam that allows you to deal heat damage and light enemies on fire by venting the pure heat from your nuclear reactor. And you can put explosive vents on any mech, so any mech that uses a lot of heat will probably want to use explosive vents. Or maybe you want to use grenades or mines. Well, the mesmer charges that you can get from the Minotaur license allow you to hit an enemy, forcing them to come towards you as the grenade messes with the enemy's systems, causing its navigation to break. Or you can turn those grenades into a mine that, when they explode, causes the enemies to be immobilized, unable to move. And how about hacking? Because there's a big element of hacking in the game. Some mechs are better at hacking other mechs than others because they have a bonus to essentially their sensors that allow them to get into enemy systems more easily. And well, the Goblin mech has a lot of really good features that allow you to do things like create digital versions of yourself on the battlefield, or at least to enemy systems, forcing enemies to attack those first before the actual target. There's all kinds of really cool things you can do, all kinds of really interesting ways that your licenses play into your mech frames. And there's 12 ranks in the game that you get access to. So if you're playing like as optimally as possible, you can make the perfect setup with the frame that you want, the systems that you want, and the weapons that you want for your particular playstyle. And you get additional choices, as every mech frame that you unlock is a mech that you can take out on one of your missions. In addition to all of that modularity that I've already talked about when it comes to systems, weapons, frames, all that kind of stuff, your pilot also has skills and talents that they add to your mech frames. Your pilot has access to a set of 4 different skills: hull, engineering, systems, and agility, that makes your mechs better at either taking damage, evading strikes, hacking enemies, or using things like heat weapons or grenades. And then you also have talents. Every time you level up, you gain a new talent where you can invest in a new talent or increase one of your current talents into additional ranks. You can even see some behind me here, like the Ace, which makes your mechs fly and gives your mech access to some really cool features, allowing you to maneuver in the sky or in the battlefield at high speeds. Or you can go full support if you really want to, and take something like Bonded, which gives you access to intercede yourself and take damage for your Huckleberry, which is a very fun part. There's so much, and this video is already getting much longer than I really intended to get to. I just wanted to show you guys all the really cool parts. The art is really cool, the talents. Every player, no matter what, you're going to have a different setup than any other person who plays this game. It is highly unlikely that you're going to play the same exact character as anyone else who plays Lancer. And Lancer has a massive community filled with all kinds of types, whether you got your optimizers, your memers, or whatever. I'm actually going to link their Discord, the official Discord, down in the description below, so you can go and see for yourself what kind of community that the Lancer community has. And I hope this video got you interested in at least trying out Lancer, you can already go and check out CompCon to make your own pilot, test some things out. There's all kinds of really cool tools on the site. You can get access to some of the rules stuff. And as well, Massive Press is actually working with Dark Horse Comics to bring a physical book to stores near you sometime this summer. They're also they release like a new book every year. They're currently in the works of testing some new mech frames that they're planning on adding to the game as well. And if you want to get in touch with all this, if you want to see it as it comes out, I recommend subscribing to the channel. I talk all things table talk. In fact, I'll be doing a set of videos for Lancer. I'm going to be doing there's a general overview you can watch already on the channel. I'm also, if you stay tuned, going to be doing a how to play Lancer and how to GM for Lancer videos so that you can get everything you need to start up your Lancer game with your friends. And speaking about your friends, if you have anyone you want to get invested in Lancer, go ahead and share this video with your friends or anyone you think might be interested in the game, as hopefully it will get more people interested in Lancer with its ever-growing community. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.